A very good afternoon to everybody. Ich bin Ansi Verwey. I am Ansi Verwey, and I would like to talk to you about possible studying methods and how to build your stamina. Heute geht es vorerst darum, wie man studieren könnte. Jeder hat andere Ideen und wie man Ausdauer aufbaut. Now, I have shared some of the experiences of other people with you, but one mustn't forget to share the own experiences. And as I was preparing for the session today, I noticed that I might need to make 2 sessions out of what I want to talk to you about, because the basis of today's session is really the Guinness World Record I did in 2003. I played the piano for 52 hours and 59 minutes. Check, there's the certificate. Ich habe in 2003 im Rahmen eines Guinness Weltrekordes, habe ich kurz gehalten, durchgehend Klavier gespielt für 52 Stunden und 59 Minuten. And like everything else that I've done since I was yay high learning to play the piano, I prepared for this. Anything you have to study, sometimes it will have to be very quick, but if you have the time and the experience, make a plan. Where do we start? When does what have to be ready? That's why I thought maybe it's better to keep at this situation of preparing to play an open-ended marathon. I just knew the time I had to beat was 52 hours, 20 minutes. So as soon as I went over that, I would have done the world record. And I didn't do it just for myself, without getting all political. I was one of the ensemble speakers, and this was the best possibility to try and save jobs in the theater. I'm prepared to try anything legal when it goes about saving jobs, especially at the moment. I think we're all getting more creative. So I took 6 months to prepare for a marathon. Ich habe mir 6 Monate Vorbereitungszeit genommen, Marathon parat zu sein. This preparation was obviously musically very challenging, because I had to find out what can I play and enjoy without getting too tired. And as a personality, I cannot play anything in neutral gear. So to choose the repertoire, the timing, and like with any sport, because singing and practicing music is a type of sport, Singen und Musizieren bleibt eine Sportart. I had to find out which foods I can eat that will give me stamina, give me power, because actually just playing the piano burns calories, moves, burns muscles. If you don't have enough of everything you need, the vitamins, the proteins, you will have a problem. Ich habe auch meine Ernährung genauestens untersucht in diesen 6 Monaten Vorbereitungszeit. Schlicht und ergriffen, I was working all the time. It's not like I could take off 6 months to prepare to play a marathon. I was working at the State Theatre Hanover at the time and did all my normal coachings, playings and whatever I had to conduct. Ich habe meine normale Arbeit weitergetan. So if you really want to do something, is my experience, you will find the time. So what I did in this instance is every night I got home, but really 7 days a week. I didn't skip Sundays, although I felt heavenly in my heart. Every night I would sit down at my electric piano, not a real piano, and start playing repertoire that I thought would keep me going and that I enjoy, and obviously an audience would be there, that the audience won't run away screaming from play, play, play. And exactly, I kept on playing every night until the point where I noticed my body was screaming to stop, and I had what we call in Deutsch Sekundenschlaf. You know, when you fell asleep for a couple of seconds. And then I analyzed every time, how did this happen? And what I noticed very quickly, if my fingers were trained well enough and I stayed in the legato, don't think you're getting away from the legato reminder, auch heute mit legato Erinnerung. Today, if I kept on going, the music would flow even through me having a little nap, because the criteria for doing this marathon is I had to play for 8 hours without stopping, no more than 30 seconds between musical numbers, 15 minutes break, and another 8 hours. So that basically makes it very easy. I found a Lego system, so I thought basically if I am capable of using my available energies at exactly the points where they are, of tiredness or hyperactivity or wanting to giggle, if I can get that into the music all the time, I will be able to keep on playing. So this was the Sekundenschlaf, this falling asleep. I know singers who've told me that it's happened to them as well. Like, you have to learn something very quickly and you're singing, and suddenly in the middle of a phrase, you don't know anymore which opera you are singing. If you travel a lot, you don't know in which country you are. We often work in studios without any windows. Here I am fortunate, my studio has a window to outside. One loses the complete orientation in all directions, but to not be scared about it, or if you are scared, use the energy. It can be a positive experience. It's just, this is one of the things that it has to have happened to you a couple of times that you will find the confidence to keep going. And main thing here to remember is keep on breathing. So say you are singing or playing, and all of a sudden you notice, oh, I didn't hear, or I was not aware of the last 4 bars I sang. Take a breath. Take a breath. Close your eyes and dig your heels into the floor. Wenn man so aufwacht von Sekundenschlaf, keine Panik. Wenn Panik kommen sollte, direkt investieren in was man gerade war. Die Füße ab in die Erde und atmen. It's very primitive. By taking a deep breath under any circumstances, you will have fresh oxygen to keep going. But I cannot stress enough, for studying, part of studying for me is, so studying is not something you can really talk about. I can suggest a method to you, but the actual studying is something you have to find. It's like buying tight jeans. What fits for you exactly? Das wirkliche Studieren muss jeder für sich, genau genommen jeden Tag, neu erfinden. So here I was practicing through the nights, and literally in the beginning I fell off my piano chair a couple of times and I had the weirdest bruises. And so after, to make a long story short, when I ended up starting the marathon, I had next to me on the piano one little card with 1, 2, 3, 4 headings, 4 reminders of what to do. Because sometimes, I never before I did this marathon actually played for 2.5 days. I just trusted absolutely that this preparation will work like Lego blocks. This energy will go into the next energy, and etc. You know, like a water wheel. As long as the water keeps on coming, as long as the music keeps on coming, I thought it will keep on playing until I've had enough, or I fall asleep with my face in the piano, which didn't happen. I did have a Generalprobe. I did have a general rehearsal, and even that I have the little piece of paper for me to remember, because these were the years 2003, and I tend to do too much in life. So the box with all these things I only unpacked this morning. Unpacking memories can be very tiring on the one hand, but very stimulating for the rest of your career. And throwing away stuff is also good. So at my general rehearsal, I took smaller sections from 7 o'clock at night till 3 in the morning, then from 3:15 to 11:15 in the morning, then from 11:30, etc. And at my general rehearsal, I cramped up completely in the second block of 8 hours already, which is what I wanted to happen. As I'm all playing these marathons for Guinness World Records, obviously it needs to be open to the public. And as we all know, as soon as there's an audience, there is a different degree of communication, and one is more nervous because you want to do better. Well, most people, me as well, because I want to communicate honestly, so obviously I'm going to have more Adrenalin. Es kommt ganz natürlich, dass sobald Publikum da ist, hat man mehr Adrenalin, wegen alleine schon die Anwesenheit von anderen Menschen. Und deshalb ist so wichtig bei der Vorbereitung, sich selber abzuhärten und sich nicht selber kaputt zu machen. Breathe, breathe, breathe. So I had an absolutely crash and burn general rehearsal for this marathon. I hurt my back, normally because I have a technique that I pray from the lower back, rotating, rotating, rotating. Always, that's why I'm careful. Sitting, if you have to sit and work, anybody, whatever you do, make sure it's the right height. So I scrunched up my back, so I damaged my back rehearsing for a marathon on the piano. So I did my exercises, I went for the massage, I checked what I hadn't eaten enough, I found what I thought the vitamins had been that I hadn't taken, and I was good to go. So the secret that I want to share with you, das Geheimnis, das ich gerne mit euch teilen möchte, in 4 Wörter. How do you keep on practicing? My list says breathe, atmen. And the second one for me, it's enough to say contract, zusammenziehen. If you're singing and you start getting tired, it's a matter of, I would translate it for singers into focus. As soon as you notice that you're tired, be more aware of how you focus, not just technically, but the musical phrases, as the music flows, that it remains natural undulation. So that was my second tip from how to remind myself, contract, because if your hands are tired and you keep on playing, then you don't use all the other fabulous energies available. And third one, I think, will help any musician while you're practicing or working on your stamina. For me, a central point at that time of my life was my knee. Die Knie habe ich mir notiert. Think about it. If you're standing while you're working, obviously we all assume we stand upright and our shoulders are relaxed. What you do with your knees can relax or innervate the rest of the body. And even if you've been standing in the same position or sitting in the same position for a long time, just lifting a knee, and making sure death to any music, I would say, is completely 180-degree communication. So allow your knees to do the gentle work. You can even rotate them very gently without making any kind of cabaletta mit Zena out there. So the awareness of one of your joints. I'm sure it's difficult for different, not difficult. Schwierig ist das mit nichten. Knien. Pick your favorite joint, that as soon as you get into a corner of working and rehearsal where you think, das ist ein cul-de-sac, that I'm never going to get past that point. Pull away the nerves and the energy to one of the joints in your body that will help you stay flexible and in the music. And the last thing on my list of 4 magic things that helped me remain a musician and wide awake is the simple word gray. Auf Deutsch grau. Alles, was grau ist, wie heute da draußen, ist das Wetter grau. Everything that is gray eats energy. So if you can, while you are practicing or working, not all of us do extreme things, but even if you have a half an hour session of I want to work the voice for half an hour, your biggest enemy is not paying taxes or some kind of virus, is gray. For me, it's the color of neutrality. Anything that goes into neutral, anything that stagnates is dead. So I literally, it's also because of this marathon, I think, that I have this instinct to, it's like I smell gray musicians. Musicians who go, this will function, or they sing, but everything secondhand. And also for me to build my stamina, as soon as you work in the gray area, you are working on the reserves, on the fumes. Diese Graugebiet, da benutzt man seine Reserven, die Reserven, die eigentlich immer da sein sollen. If you think of your music and your singing as a big Wasserrad, a water mill, all the time, to keep it turning and then to find the colors in the energy without going all esoteric, for me, fastest way to see is imagine a sun ray hits the water and there are all these rainbows coming off. Also, I'm not crazy. Tomorrow is full moon, so I'm a little bit spooky, aber these are things that I discovered over 6 months. In the beginning, is I would literally stop playing and I didn't write down everything that I thought. I just thought, aha, that feels like a good thought, and let's take it back 2 bars and take a breath and do what we just did again. Same thing with practicing getting through this dead point. Durch die Mauer gehen. Artists, sporty people say, like, if you go jogging, you have to go through the wall. There comes a point where you are so tired that you think you cannot keep going. So I think today as well we should talk about going through the wall of tiredness in the body and the brain while studying your music. Now, this animal here, obviously my main assistant Richard is there. He's been around for 22 years. He stays there. This assistant of mine actually is not an assistant anymore. This stuffed tiger was on the little baby grand I played the marathon on for all of the duration. And that's the other thing that kept me going. This not thinking, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? To have somebody there all the time. He didn't go anywhere. He stayed awake all the time. Obviously people came and stroked him. He had fan mail afterwards as well. But the practical suggestion about this, if you don't like something like Richard, get yourself for at home. This doesn't travel well. It's very impractical. Get yourself something like this. When I just came to Germany to start working here, my mother had to send me one of my favorite stuffed animals from South Africa. Lieber auch auf Deutsch. Als ich frisch angefangen habe in Deutschland zu arbeiten, musste meine Mutter mir mein Lieblingsstofftier aus Südafrika schicken. Not anything else. For me, it's stuffed animals. They have traveled with you, they haven't bitched at you, they haven't said nasty things with you. So obviously, the 6 months I prepared for this marathon, I had this stuffed tiger sitting there all the time. So basically at the end of the day, once I started playing the actual marathon, it was like I had a coach there all the time saying, oh yes, that's how you do it. And oh, I like how you played that. Now, about choosing repertoire. I found all of these, it was 2003 is a long time ago. After lots of thinking and driving myself crazy, after 3 months, I found the repertoire that I could play for this marathon. Now, if we transpose that into your working and studying and preparation for new roles, it boils down to the same thing. If you have a learning, studying session, so normally one has 3 kinds of repertoire one has to learn. Mostly something that is very, very urgent that you should have learned the day before yesterday, then something that you've sung or played or performed quite many times, but some time ago, and you think, it's about time that I took care of that. And the third item on the list that I suggest, if you don't do it yet, is something that amuses you, something you would like to try out, something that you would like, when a year ago you would never have dreamt of it, but you think, that sounds like a nice aria, or I like the personality of that person in the opera. Let me learn that. And if you're one of those very, very serious opera singers, very good. But if you are one of those serious opera singers, do not forget the operetta repertoire. Bitte als ernsthafte Opernsänger bzw. Sängerin nicht die ernsthafte Operettenrepertoire vergessen. Not all operetta is jolly, and mostly one needs very, very well trained voices to perform them very well. So let's say you have always ready in your collection of music or on your iPad 3 different levels of things. Why I brought this list is, let's say you start learning, I have to learn something completely new. To remain practical, I brought as a prop a score I have never opened in my life. Il Finto Stanislao. The score was given to me by a friend, and I want to demonstrate to you something you should never do in public. Ich habe diesen Klavierauszug mitgebracht, weil ich euch was zeigen möchte, was man bitte nie im Leben in der Öffentlichkeit tun soll. Let's say you are at your first musical rehearsal with the conductor. Sag mal, wir sind bei der ersten musikalischen Probe mit dem Dirigenten. And you open your score and what do we hear? Crack. If you haven't even bothered to open your score before a musical rehearsal, this is like telling the wolves out there, this person does not take its job seriously. See? But now, we are under 4 eyes. Let's say you are at home. You open your score, you find the role you have to sing. Now, if you want to study very, very, very quickly, obviously you are going to just go straight directly, press the cast list. Let's say you are a baritone, you are going to sing Il Cavaliere di Belfiore. I suggest you page through the whole opera and you mark, as most of us do, with a funny pencil in colors, where Belfiore has to sing, and from there you continue learning the role. But without listening to any recordings. Ich kann das nicht häufig genug sagen. Wenn man was komplett neu lernen soll, dann nimmt man seine Noten. Man blättert durch. Man markiert sich die Partie, die man singen möchte. And then, without going into Wikipedia or listening to 30 YouTube videos, it is possible just by paging through a score. This isn't very well known Verdi, but even like this, I absolutely trust if I page through it, you will be able to find this is one scene, dialogue, so you can build yourself the tension chain. Zuerst, was man tun kann, bevor man bitte nicht YouTube oder Wikipedia, direkt aus den Noten kleine Schema aufbauen. Da singe ich in einem Ensemble, das ist fast recitativos, da ist ein Duett, and from there, so that you have like the washing pegs on which you can hang the role, and from there you continue studying. Now I have seen the time, and as I suspected, I will have to definitely make this a two-parter, so I will continue about studying methods and building the stamina next week. But I do stick to my new plan of consolidating everything that I have chatted about in the session by playing one piano solo. It is also very important for me in these days that I don't just talk about it, that I do it. And to really put myself on the spot for the piano solo today, I have chosen a little piano solo that is so well known that everybody who plays it gets nervous because we know what people expect to hear. So this is my last suggestion for you for the day, is that if you do study and perform music that has been performed to death over the millennia, go back into the music and find your own version. Now I am going to play the number Träumerei, dreamily, from the Kinderscenen. Schumann composed like a set of 13 little piano soli. He didn't give them titles at first. He first wrote the music and then he added titles to suggest what might be happening. And what I find interesting, Schumann said about this little cycle of Kinderscenen, scenes for children. They aren't for children. It was written by somebody old for old people. Schumann selber hat gesagt, der Alte hat etwas für die Ältere geschrieben. So this is something I have played very often. Didn't play during the marathon, but I haven't played it for a long time. So this is now the version Corona of Träumerei. Happy, healthy dreams to everybody, and I will see you again next week.